Big clampdown going on right now on conservatives on social media. And it's important to remember the history that conservatives have had with social media. Social media is the reason that conservatives were ascendant for much of the last 10 years. Because before that, we were shut out of the mainstream media. Even when we did manage to get presidents elected, they were pretty liberal, like George Bush, for instance, or the other George Bush. Social media allowed conservatives to have a voice when we had been shut out of the TV networks, when we'd been shut out of the newspapers, when we'd been shut out of Hollywood. The new media gave us that kind of freedom, and now they're taking that freedom away. The clampdown that's going on right now is pretty significant in that basically every prominent right-winger on social media is losing lots and lots and lots of followers. And when people complain about this, it seems sort of petty. It seems like a vanity contest. Oh, no, you lost 30,000 Twitter followers. Boo-hoo for you. I've got real problems. But I think actually that's sort of why big tech is pursuing this strategy, because it sounds petty, but it is significant. Because if you take away conservatives' followers, all of a sudden, conservatives no longer have a voice. And it doesn't just affect some pundit, and it doesn't just affect some elected representative. It affects all conservatives who can't get our voice out there. That's what they're betting on. Jake Tapper came out and he said, I don't know how many Twitter followers I've lost because I don't pay attention to that because I'm an adult, which is not true. Jake Tapper has bragged about his Twitter followers in the past, but that's not even the point. Tapper hasn't lost any Twitter followers. Actually, they've increased significantly over the past few days, whereas every prominent conservative just about has lost a lot, up to and including the president, who lost his entire voice on social media. Why does Jake Tapper gain followers? Why is Twitter gaming their system to give him a larger audience? Because Jake Tapper is a submissive vessel for the liberal establishment. So obviously they're going to reward him, and then he's going to continue to do their bidding. Whereas for conservatives, we're not going to do that, and so Twitter won't either. Twitter's ridiculous excuse for the clampdown, up to and including the man that the American people chose to be president, at least until January 20th, that guy's the duly elected president. Twitter says, to clear up confusion about fluctuations in follower counts. Fluctuations. It's just going down, by the way. It's not like going up 50,000 and then down. It's going down. To clear up the confusion, in order to prevent spam, we regularly challenge accounts to confirm details like email and phone number. Until that info is confirmed, these accounts are not included in follower counts. That's obviously untrue, right? What Twitter is saying is, yeah, look, we think this happens every so often. First of all, we've never seen this happen before, and it's not happening evenly. It's only happening to conservatives. But they're saying, look, what happens is there are a lot of accounts. We don't know if they're real accounts or not. So we just take all of them out of the follower counts, and then as people confirm their details, then all of a sudden we add them back in. But if that were true, then all the conservatives, I guess everybody, including liberals, their follower counts would drop dramatically and then slowly increase as people confirm those details. That's not what's happening. The follower counts are steadily decreasing, but only for conservatives. And the only time it's not steady is when you're talking about the President of the United States and associated accounts, which have been shut down by some hipster-looking radical oligarch in Silicon Valley named Jack Dorsey, who runs Twitter. Now, you might say, okay, well, you have no right to use Twitter's platform. Twitter's a private company, after all. Sort of. We'll get into that in a second. What very often liberals and squishy conservatives, fake conservatives, have said in recent years is, make your own Twitter. Oh, come on, you have no right to use Jack Dorsey's platform. Make your own Twitter. Yeah, okay, maybe Dorsey and Zuckerberg and Google have conquered the entire public square and they now control discourse in our republic. But look, private company, they can do whatever they want. The problem with this, there are many problems with this argument, but the main one, the most obvious problem with this argument is you can't make your own Twitter. When they say go make your own Twitter, they won't let you make your own Twitter. Dan Bongino did go make his own Twitter. He called it PARLER. And he put it up there. And then when Twitter started censoring conservatives, a lot of conservatives went over there. And then Google and Apple came out and they said, we're not going to allow PARLER on our operating systems. They're not going to be in the App Store. So I guess if you've got it installed, good for you for now, but that's it. It's over. Google and Apple control 99% of the mobile operating system market share. 99%. If they kick you out of their stores, you're gone from cell phones. So they won't let you make your own Twitter. Okay, well, hold on. You can still access Parler through the web browser on your phone, can't you? Sure, you can't use the app, but you have no right. Google and Apple, private companies, sort of. So you have no right to force your app into their app store. Just go on the web browser. Well, that's what Parler said they would do. And guess what? Amazon Web Services, the web host, said that Parler's not allowed to even have a website. If you go to parler.com right now, chances are it will not load. Now, Dan, friend of the show, says that he's got a backup plan. I hope Parler is back online quickly. But how long before that web server says, no, we're not going to host you either? This happened to Gab. Gab was this alternative to Twitter that came up before Parler did. Same thing, kicked out of the app stores, kicked off their web hosting, their domain registrar, GoDaddy. They couldn't even get the website. So all of a sudden we go from build your own Twitter. Come on, just build your own Twitter to, come on, build your own mobile operating system, to, come on, build your own cell phone, to build your own web servers, to build your own domain registrar, to build your own internet, to, I guess, build your own government. Is that the end of it? Oh, wait a second. That's what we should have been doing the whole time. We should have been engaging in politics so that we could wield political systems when the people gave us power. And the fact that we did not do that on the right is the fault of conservatives. You know, we stopped engaging in politics. And part of the reason for this is that we took expressions, like Andrew Breitbart's famous expression, when he said, politics is downstream of culture. That's obviously true to a degree, but we took an expression like that as an excuse not to engage in politics. We took it as an excuse to say, well, no, government, it's always bad whenever government does anything, and that's why you need to elect us so that we won't do anything that you want us to do. And we need to let big business run roughshod over our culture, because we've exclusively got to focus on the culture and not on politics. Well, look where that's gotten us. As if, by the way, there were some totally distinct line between culture and politics. There obviously isn't. Culture affects politics. Movies and TV and books and art affects politics, and politics affects culture. We know that. Conservatives are willing to admit that in our most candid moments, right? When conservatives talk about the disastrous policies of LBJ and the Great Society, all those welfare programs that trapped people in generations of poverty. That was politics affecting culture, wasn't it? Thomas Sowell writes about this all the time when he says black Americans were doing a whole lot better before the Great Society, and then the Great Society comes in and all of a sudden they start doing much worse. What changed? Did the movies change? I guess a little bit. Did the art change? Yeah, sure. No, what changed is the government policy. Obviously, politics can shape culture. And I think it's just a recourse for people who, in a cowardly way, don't want to engage in the political system, who don't want to go in and say, no, big tech, you don't get to do that. We're going to break you up. We're going to break you up under antitrust laws. We're going to break you up because of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. We're going to break you up because of the fraud that you've engaged in. This was so predictable. This was so predictable. They had been signaling this for months. The minute that Twitter put a fact check on the president's tweet, I thought it's only a matter of time before they kick him off. The fact check was so ridiculous. You remember, Trump said, I think we won the election. And then Twitter says, this claim is disputed. But they didn't really mean this claim is disputed. Any claim on social media could be disputed. And if a claim is disputed, that means that the counterclaim is disputed too. But they didn't put, when Biden said we won the election, they didn't put a claim that said this claim is disputed too. Obviously that claim was disputed by Trump. They had picked a side. Well, okay, fair enough. questions of free speech and censorship, I suppose people can pick a side. But are we comfortable? Whatever you think about Trump, whatever you think about the election, whatever you think about Joe Biden, whatever you think about Donald Trump, ask yourself this. Are you really comfortable with a handful of radical left-wing oligarchs in Silicon Valley, billionaires, censoring the duly elected president? I did not elect Jack Dorsey. I did not elect Mark Zuckerberg. And conservatives helped this happen. The left is, I don't want to victim blame. The left is the aggressor here. Conservatives let it happen. How did we let it happen? Well, first of all, we had 4 years of the Trump administration and 2 years of unified government to attack big tech, bring them down to size. We didn't do it. Do you know what we did instead? We called in the big tech executives, and then the legislators got really good sound bites on TV yelling at the big tech executives. And they got really good campaign commercials out of it, and then nothing happened. And then Mark Zuckerberg goes on TV and he says, yes, we have to do better. Oh, we will do, yes. Oh, this was bad and we'll do better. And he's obviously lying, right? He's obviously not telling the truth because they didn't do better. They got a lot worse. At least Jack Dorsey, to his credit, he's never even pretended to care. Jack Dorsey, it looks like hipster Rasputin with his beard, and he basically says, I don't care about any of you guys. So we let that happen. But the problem's even deeper than that. And it's going to take a lot of soul searching on the right. Republicans have been shilling for big business for decades now. For decades. Really starting, I guess, in the 70s, but really ramping up in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. Conservatives have been shilling for giant multinational corporations that hate our culture, that ship our jobs overseas, that don't give a damn about this country. They've embraced this line, build your own Twitter. Oh, you can never tell Mark Zuckerberg what to do. He has his sacred right to censor the president. It's his platform. We shilled. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Michael Knowles Show. To check out the full episode, hit the link in the description or download The Michael Knowles Show wherever you listen to podcasts.